something behind this door. It's one of the most beautiful things that you'll probably see. I wasn't lying when I said it was going to be the two most beautiful things you've probably ever seen. But I got to look at these two things every time I walk inside this garage, which honestly, laundry's right here, so I don't really do it too much. Thanks, Anna. One thing that doesn't get a lot of recognition on this channel is this 2008 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution GSR. It is standard, you guys, and we got carbon fiber, whole bunch of parts on this thing. It has an upgraded turbocharger. I want to say a GT3076R ball bearing, and it's on a G-tune, which is okay, it's not really a G-tune, it's just kind of tuned by me, Gabe. And you know, sometimes it starts, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I'm still working on it. But the granddaddy in this garage is my 97 GSX, and it's been a long time since you guys seen it on the channel. And actually, today's gonna be a special day because one, we gotta go ahead and swap out my fuel because I have some fueling issues, and two, today's August 3rd, which is a really important day for me, and later on in the video, if you guys follow along, I'm actually gonna go over why today's so special. It's kind of like a 1-year anniversary of something amazing that happened. But first, we gotta drain the fuel out of this thing because the fuel that's in it right now is not liking it, and I'll show you and explain to you guys why. But first of all, just so you guys can really take in on what's going on in here, it's a fully deleted 97 GSX top mount turbo, which, yeah, it's a big old monster, but I'm thinking about changing to a bigger one. Isn't bigger always better? Like a GT42 or something? Yeah, that's a goal. I mean, yeah, I do want to put a GT42 on here, but one day. But one thing I can promise you that within the next 1 or 2 weeks, we're going to be upgrading something that's really cool because I took it out thinking I was cool, like the AC and power steering. No AC in Arizona is probably one of the dumbest things you could have done. No power steering. It makes driving this car almost impossible. It has a Dogbox transmission, all 4 slicks with a cause center diff. Now imagine trying to steer this thing. These muscles are not that big. So we're actually going to be putting an electric power steering system from a Toyota Prius on this car, and I should be receiving it today, supposed to, but the tracking says it never even left. So after we get the fuel swapped out, obviously I gotta show you guys what a pain in the butt it is to turn this thing, and it just makes sense to take the car for a drive, being though that it's the 1-year anniversary of something special. So at the beginning of this year, the car ran a 10.6 at 145 miles an hour. Now, just so you guys know, this car ran this time on one of the worst fuels that I've ever used in my life, which is called Torcco 118. It's always been on C16 or 91 pump gas. Now, I was out of VP Racing in the beginning of January. I just couldn't find it nowhere. So I ended up swapping out some Torcco 118, retarded the ignition timing, made it more rich, and the car still knocked. Honestly, no matter what I did, the car would just keep knocking and knocking, it's pretty much pre-detonation, which isn't safe for the vehicle. To kind of put things in perspective, Torcco 118 is 118 octane. C16 runs anywhere from 118 to 120 octane. Obviously, the higher octane reduces spark knock, which gives the engine more power. You can run more boost and not worrying about your motor exploding. Do I think we're gonna run a faster pass next time coming IFO? Yes, I think we're gonna run a 9-second pass. If I don't, well, I might just sell the car. I'm kidding, I would probably never sell this car. So first off, I use this giant line that I made. It's kind of like a dash A-end line with like a hose into it. Anyways, I go ahead and hook this on my feed line, and I use my laptop to tell my fuel pump to pretty much turn on, and I just kind of let it drain all the fuel out. Now this is probably one of the worst ways to drain the fuel out of my tank, but honestly I have no other way of doing this, and I have to do this every time I put in either 91 or C16 back and forth, back and forth. It's a very difficult process, and well, it just takes forever and it's boring as heck. First step is to disconnect this catch line, which I want to say this is like a dash 10AN. As far as sizing, not 100%. Also, check this guys out. I actually had some time to organize my freaking wrenches. How amazing is that? But I haven't had that much time, as you guys can see. I mean, this isn't the right size. I mean, but for the most part, yeah, it works. It's just, you know, not the right thing. So, just put that back. See, that's how stuff gets messed up. I don't put things back, and it turns into something that looks like this. Now it's gonna leak some fuel out, of course, so you just want to make sure that there's some type of rag. Obviously, we don't want the fuel, high octane fuel, to ruin all the powder coating. Hopefully we don't make a huge mess. And just a little bit of fuel. Not too bad. But that should be expected. I mean, it's sat for like 2 or 3 months already. Make sure this is really tight. Honestly, I shouldn't be using these style of wrenches on these style of fittings. So these fittings are called AN fittings and they're aluminum. You don't want to use steel wrenches on aluminum fittings because eventually what happens, you ended up marring the surface and honestly just kind of destroying how it looks. So if you guys can afford the actual aluminum wrenches, highly recommend it. Obviously, I don't have those. Probably should get some. And of course, this is completely empty, which we're gonna fill it back up. I don't care what kind of fuel it is. Oh man, that smells so good. Race fuel, oh dude. All race fuel smells amazing. But honestly, my favorite is C16. Actually, this stuff is purple, believe it or not. I want to say that stuff is blue. So if you guys ever used ECM Link or any type of tuning software, honestly, I've used a lot of them. And one of the ones I used to use was called EvoScan and ECU Flash. So I used to tune that on all my DSMs. Honestly, I really like the ECM Link V3. It's one of the most easiest tunable ECUs to tune with. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it has activate fuel pump always on. So I'm gonna click that, it's gonna turn on the fuel pumps and start pumping the fuel out. You can see it's actually pumping the fuel out right now. This is how I'm going to drain all the fuel inside my fuel tank. You can kind of see it's starting to finally run out just a little bit. So in the tank I have a DTEX Works 400, which is a really big in-tank fuel pump feeding a Bosch 044 fuel pump. Because I used to have a Walbro 255 in the fuel tank, it didn't keep this vehicle rich enough under wide open throttle. This car sees about maybe 45 to 50 pounds of boost on a good day. Just so you guys know, this Torcco 118 is probably about 90 bucks. The C16, that guy's $120. That's pretty expensive, but this is what the car uses. You know, one of the hardest things about this is not making a giant mess. Because for some reason, I always make a mess. Yep, just like that. So believe it or not, I actually looked up a YouTube video on how to pour a 5-gallon pail into a gas tank. I've been doing this for 10 years. You would think I would know how. So apparently you pour this on the top and it should just slowly go in. Duh, that makes sense. Oh hey, guess what? It works. Good to go. So I haven't told you guys yet, but so I used to run a vented catch can, which these 2 lines coming off my valve cover would go to a catch can that I have mounted way back in here. It's kind of stealth mode, and it had a filter on it. That the filter would get all the oil vapor everywhere. It just made the whole engine bay nasty and gross. So what I ended up doing was going to a sealed catch can, and if you can see this line, I have 2 lines going to the catch can. This line actually is my suction line, which it goes straight to the exhaust. It uses what's called a Venturi effect. The exhaust has vacuum in it, so the exhaust vacuums out any pressure that's inside the engine and it pushes it all out the exhaust. I thought I was going to get a ton of smoke, but I've had this much smoke so far. Now that everything's ready, we can actually go for a test drive, and you guys could hear this monster side exit. So before we go on our little test drive, I wanted to share something with you guys. Today is August 3rd, which that means 1 year exactly ago today, I ended up getting my toolbox and I left my job that I was at for 10 years. I was an automotive mechanic. I did it for a living. I loved it and enjoyed it. It's just people quit their boss or management. They never quit their job, if that makes sense. And I was at the point where I just wasn't happy no more. So I said, you know what? I'm done. But before I left, I spent the last 5 years of my life building a real estate portfolio. To this day, supports me, my family, my hobbies, and obviously I work on it 24/7. That is what I do now. I am the owner of my own real estate company where I consistently work and upgrading my properties every day. And honestly, you guys, that's why I've been so busy, and that's why I haven't made a lot of uploads, was because I've been doing this full time. Honestly, I feel like I work more now than I actually used to, but I work for me and it's not for someone else, and I love it. So I just want to share that with you guys, that it's been 1 full year of I retired from my day job, if that makes sense. So you guys remember our cardboard box? As you can imagine, on the first startup, it runs extremely rich. I don't want it to get all over my toolbox, so this is what I use to kind of shield it from all this exhaust nastiness. honestly, when it's running, I can barely hear myself speaking. My whole garage is just engulfed with the smelliness of C16. I friggin' love it. Honestly think she's gonna run a 9-second pass in my next quarter mile. I can feel it. 150 mile an hour trap. I'm calling it right now. As always, boys, she's looking so good, especially with that carbon fiber. You know, I need more carbon fiber on this car. I just feel like the car needs so much more, even though it has all this. It's so beautiful. I love it. It's so juicy. Yeah, boy, let's go. I just want to show you guys, like, look, I can't even turn the steering wheel. Like, it is so difficult to turn it. No matter what I do, I have to at least be going like a couple miles an hour before I can start turning this car. So that's why we're going to be swapping out to an electric power steering pump from an actual Toyota Prius. It's going to be crazy, and on the next couple uploads. It's a Dogbox, baby. Alright, boys, these are for the haters. Let's go. Oh my God. Woo. Oh, buddy. Yeah, boy, let's do this. Oh, I missed that so much, you guys. Woo. Oh, that was a little rough. She's misfiring just a little bit, but oh man, she's so good, you guys. Oh, I can't wait to be back up in this. Oh man, hell yeah. That was for all the haters out there. Yeah. Woo, let's go home. I hope you guys can hear that whine. It is so loud. So in case you guys forgot, this is a Dogbox transmission. Handles up to 1,000 wheel horsepower for this thing. It's an amazing feeling. Very difficult to shift. It took me forever to figure that out. You know, one of my most favorite things doing is rolling up to my neighborhood with a side exit exhaust, loud as heck, and everybody's nice and quiet. Yep, I'm that guy. Home sweet home, guys. 186 degrees. Look at, I'm trembling right now. That's how scary this car is, you guys. My hand is literally trembling. I don't know how many times I have to say it, guys. This car is so ridiculously fast and it's so fun to drive. Honestly, I haven't smiled like that in such a long time, and I totally needed that. Honestly, I hope that I'm going to be driving this car a whole lot more. I know there's going to be a lot more uploads as far as us doing some modifications on the car. 100%, we're putting in that power steering system from a 2009 Toyota Prius, and it's going to be very interesting because there's not a lot of them in the world. So this is going to be kind of, you know, top 5. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, go ahead and like that button. Don't forget to subscribe, because I know I don't post a lot, but I promise I'll never stop posting. So just like that, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll see you later. Bye. Honestly, you guys, this carbon fiber though, oh my God, I need more of it.